waving. And hang on, just keep waving with Chris.
All right.
We're live.
All right. Awesome. Awesome. All right. Brian Moriarty, man of the hour here. How are you doing today?
I'm awesome.
Awesome. Oh, I know you're awesome. I'm always on the edge of my seat when we do our coaching calls and you come on. I know you got some good news for us. So I appreciate you sharing that with us. And, you know, that's why we have you on today. I think you're doing some awesome things. I think a lot of our, our Shift Nation would love to hear about. And so we thought it'd be cool to do this. And we appreciate you agreeing to jump on here and share some of your secret sauce with the group.
Sure.
All righty. Well, let's jump in because I mean, I know a little bit about you and I've talked quite a bit, but let's learn a little bit more about Brian and who you are, and then we can kind of dive into the success that you're having. So you're a fellow Canadian of Jeremiah's, right? You're based out of Saskatchewan, right?
That's correct. Yes, I'm based out of Prince Albert, Saskatchewan, Canada is where I'm located. The Great White North.
Great. Are you still covered in white or you got some sunny days ahead of you here?
We got some sunny days ahead of me. Yeah, the snow is gone. So I'm just getting out of my igloo.
Awesome. So I like to learn, I'm in the business. I was, advisor. I enjoyed it. I always like to hear a little bit about how you got into the business and, kind of your genesis for how that got started.
Well, my story begins in my commercial banking background days when I was working at a bank and one of my clients died of a massive heart attack and not all of his loans were life insured. Mm-hmm. And I had to be the big bearer of bad news, telling the grieving widow, I'm sorry your husband died, but you owe me $250,000 and we're now moving into foreclosure. How are you planning to repay me? It was there that I had the epiphany that the importance of life insurance. When I moved to Prince Albert, Saskatchewan in 2007, I was introduced to my pastor, who introduced me to an organization called Faith Life Financial, who I now work for. And they are a faith-based organization that instead of about being returned to shareholder, gives back to the community, which aligned with my values. And I've been with them ever since.
That's great. Yeah, that's similar to my story. I remember my aunt passed away and I remember shopping for coffins with my uncle online the night before a funeral to help because she didn't have life insurance. That was similar to my story and how I got interested in it. So yeah. That's great. And now you're helping lots of people. So that's great. So share something surprising that we may not know about you. I mean, we see in the coaching calls, a lot of us know you on the coaching calls, but what's something we may not know about you? It might be surprising in your background or hobbies or anything like that.
Well, as you may or may not know, my last name is Moriarty, and Moriarty is in Sherlock Holmes was the arch enemy of Sherlock Holmes, and he ended up pushing him over the cliff and killing him. And I'm in life insurance business and my uncle is an undertaker. So we have you from life to death.
Very cool. That's a surprising fact. Thanks for sharing that.
You're welcome. Now you'll remember me.
Oh yeah. Very good. So I think, what we've seen at Advisors and a lot of the members of our program is, COVID's changed the business landscape for financial advisors, and it's going to continue to, right? I think it's accelerated a lot of the technology and solutions that were out there that compliance and broker dealers were unwilling to release. And so I think it's a great thing, but it's also created some trouble. So when you came to us, there were some challenges, I'm sure, in meeting new prospects. What did you experience, prior to coming on board with us?
Prior to coming on board with your team, it was challenging because, how do you meet people in a pandemic? You can't go out and do networking events like you normally would have, or trade shows, or some of those face-to-face contacts that you would go. You can't go around and talk to people. It all has to be done virtually, right?
Yep.
So, and I tried a number of different things that didn't work for me until I came along to Advisorist. I was able to have some success in doing things in a virtual LinkedIn and connecting with other COIs virtually. That wasn't happening before.
Yeah, great. Yeah, it's tough out there trying to do things, the way we used to do it.
It just doesn't work, right?
Yeah.
So you have to reinvent yourself and do things differently.
Absolutely.
It took me a better part of probably a year to figure it out and get my sea legs again.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. So how did you hear about Advisors? How did you first learn about us?
I heard about you through an event that you guys put on, and that's how I found out about it.
Was the summit?
The summit,
Okay,
yes.
cool. Yeah, that's a great event. Awesome. All right. So, I mean, you heard about us. What had you maybe thinking that we might be a good fit? Was there some, I mean, you heard about some of the things we were doing. What made you consider maybe giving us a look?
Because I knew that LinkedIn could be a very powerful tool. I just didn't know how to harness the beast.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know how to make
Great
it
way of
work
putting it.
for me,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's a
And
great way
that's
of
what I
putting it.
needed the expertise to do. I knew that it could be successful because, I mean, I knew that a number of advisors were doing it and having success. I just wasn't able to find the pathway that for me that would work.
Okay. Now I'm sure you looked at other solutions. I'm sure you had some reservations, concerns. How did you feel? What were your concerns maybe before for other advisors out there that are kind of wondering, you took the leap, but there had to be something maybe holding you back initially or some current concerns that you had. What were those?
Well, I mean, you've tried maybe different things that didn't work, right? And I tried some things that didn't work. And the thing that pushed me over after being in the program is that there are elements of the things in the past programs that I had tried that they were doing right. It was just fine tweaking that thing that needed to be changed, like your profile, for example, that made all the difference in the world. And you sort of have an aha moment that not necessarily were you doing things wrong, but just making small changes can have huge, significant differences. And that's what the program did for me.
Right. Great. All right. So you took the leap, right? So what ultimately put you over the edge? Was it, was it just, was there anything that put you over the edge that made you say, all right, this is the group, they seem to have figured it out? Because that's something that's always interesting to me, because I think there are so many ways you can go. And I talk to advisors all the time, but it's really that there's differentiators out there. What would you say would be that for you?
I think the fact that I was able to connect with a real person, and they shared with me some of the success that the program had delivered. And I had set my bar, I guess, at a reasonable expectations, but I mean, it's far exceeded that for me. So, I mean, as they say, nothing ventured, nothing gained, right? I mean, I had to do something. So I was looking for that next thing to try that I decided to say yes to it.
Yeah. All right. Awesome. So this is the part where I think, we see so many advisors struggle with making that decision that you made. And then the second part of that is executing. And, there's a theme. We've talked to a couple, we saw Pam this week. We talked to Ellen last week, and, there's many others, Rob, Dan. I mean, I think of a whole bunch that are just executioners. They, you put something in front of them and they execute and make it happen. And you're one of those, because when did you start in our program?
I started the end of February, beginning of March.
And when did you launch your first campaign?
March the 4th, I believe, is when I launched my first campaign.
Okay.
It took me a week to go through the material that was supposed to take 3 months.
Yes.
I went through that very quickly because, I mean, time is precious for me, and I needed to get something going sooner rather than later.
Yep. And
so that was the key.
I want to stay here for a moment, because I think this is the number one indicator of success that I see with the advisors we work with and talk to. You were up and running in a week. I'm thinking Nick was up and running, I think, in 2 weeks. Rob was up in 2 weeks. Dan was up in a couple of weeks. The program is designed. We designed it in a way to kind of make it bite-sized over 6 weeks, 6 modules. And you're right. A lot of people, we've had to create a program where some people can extend that time out to the 3 months. That's why we built it that way, to make sure they have enough time. But, and it's for everybody out there, you did it in a week, 6 modules a week, launched the thing up and running. And I mean, right away, you saw things start to happen, right? I mean, you saw activity.
Yes, exactly.
And all right, so you launched March 4th. Have you tweaked things, tested things as you've gone on here almost 2 months in?
Well, after my first campaign ran and exhausted all of the leads that came out of that, I've had to tweak it since. But the profile in itself, I haven't changed at all.
Okay.
I managed to hit the ball out of the park, I guess, what I would say running,
Yeah.
coming forward. The second campaign, for whatever reason, I changed something on it. The geography didn't seem to work. So then I changed again and went and modified it with industry, weed out some of the people that I did not want to connect with.
Yeah. And I think that's the second takeaway I have, it's the others that are, you got it out, right? All you guys that execute, you get it out, a great first edition, and you happen to hit it out of the park in that first run, which, some do, some don't. It takes a little longer. That's not a problem. But
Right.
I think, it's that good, better, best we talk about a lot in coaching. If it's good, get it out there, see what happens. Like you said, you had to tweak things along the way. You're going to have to continue to tweak things. You can always make things better, right? Nothing's perfect.
No.
So, that's the tremendous part about what you've done, is just getting it out there, getting that activity going. I mean, less than 2 months, you're making money already,
Right.
which is awesome. That's the
Yeah.
goal, and others
Exactly.
where they're still dragging their feet a little bit. So I think these are big lessons, not only for what we're talking about today, but just in business and in the space that we're in, right? You need to get that word out there. So
if you have something in a tool, I mean, it's no good sitting in a tool shed. I mean, you have to get it out there and actually use it, even if you aren't using it perfectly the way that it ought to be used.
yeah.
I mean, just like any craftsman, you get better at your craft over time, right?
Yeah.
And being a part of the group has really helped me, because I can learn from what other people are doing and not doing, and you have little aha moments.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. All right. So you're 2 months in. What do the appointments look like? How many appointments you get in a week? Kind of where'd you start with initially? Where are you now? Do you see it trending
I'm averaging
upwards?
about 10 appointments a week, 3 second appointments and 1 sale out of it. 10, 3, 2, 1.
Okay. 10, 3, 2, 1. Awesome. And so for a while, so it's funny, when you were coming in, you were averaging about 2 a week for a couple of weeks there, right? Are things picking up? Do you see kind of a snowball effect happening in the leads that are coming in, the quality and the opportunities?
I have a lot of pending opportunities, I guess you could say, because people that say, yeah, I want to talk to you, but not until May, until tax season is done, right?
Yeah.
So I've got lots of people in the hopper, is what I would call it.
Yeah.
But I mean, it ebbs and flows from week to week. And I had to change my campaign because I exhausted all of the lists in my first lead list. So then I had to start a new campaign, and that campaign wasn't as good as the first one. So then I had to start a third one to try and tweak what I didn't do necessarily to mimic the first campaign.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what because we tell, I mean, in general, like you said, you had your expectations kind of set at a certain standard. And what we tell people is usually it takes 6 to 8 weeks to get this program running, get the campaigns running, get the messaging out there, start to see that snowball we talk about a lot. And I think the great thing for you is you're just getting to that snowball effect that you're gonna see a lot of follow-ups. You're gonna see a lot of more stuff coming at you, plenty of people to talk to. So I'm excited for what you have coming up.
It's hard to keep track of everybody, and that's where the tags really come into play in terms of putting a follow-up tag on it and monitoring the notes, making sure that you are doing what you said that you're going to do and executing.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
people do want to connect with you. I mean, I had a vice president actually of a company talk to me. It didn't land anywhere, but the fact is that I probably wouldn't have had that opportunity before to connect with people. And it's exciting to actually help people and connect them with resources that can make a difference in their life, because you never know when it's going to come back to help you.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I mean, it seems like you're getting really good quality of people too. I mean, you're doing some cases we'll talk about. You also said you had a referral partner that came out of it already, right?
Yes, I do. I have a mortgage broker that came out of it. And as a result, I was able to generate several sales as a result of that. Okay. Not only did the mortgage broker become a client of mine, but then they sent me some new business as well for their clients. Great. And then on top of that, they've been helping some of my clients, and then it makes me look like a superstar because I'm saving my clients money on their mortgage. Yeah, that's great. You've already created those relationships this early on. So kudos, man. You're killing it. You're executing. You're doing exactly what you need to do. Good work. So let's talk a little bit about the economics. We don't have to get specific. I know there's that's some personal stuff in there, but when a sale comes to you, what would you say is like an average sale that you're seeing right now out of the program? An average sale, I'd say, would be about $1 million policy size, and about $1,000 a sale.
Okay. And you're averaging one a week right now. So you're in about 8 weeks, I think, right? From the math here. All right. That's awesome. So making money, doing well, $1,000 a sale. That's great. Do you see, because this is, I mean, as you know, my genesis was this program. That's where I got, I was able to grow my practice from. Do you see what I saw is that too? I think I made the mistake of going big. I was going big game hunting right away. When I readjusted my own expectations and started creating relationships, creating opportunities, and started doing those sales, I started getting more business. I started getting referred. I started getting 2 and 3 sales in a household instead of just one. Are you seeing that opportunity as well, where that sale is not just a life sale? It could be other things moving forward as that relationships develop, as there's assets there, other things there?
It's funny you should mention that, because I mean, I've had a lot of disability inquiries as a result of that first sale, because people that are self-employed need not only the life insurance side, but the disability side of it. So yes, it's beginning to snowball, as you would say, into other products, other relationships. And something that reminds me is I should probably follow up for referrals from those existing clients that I did business with.
Yeah. That was one thing when I started just really honing in on that and stop. When I think a lot of advisors come and, oh, well, I'm going to go after the big stuff, right? We're going to go knock some home runs out of the park, and you'll get those come, right? And we all know, if anyone has been in the business wrong, they come, they're few, and they come few and far between. There's other things that pop up in the middle of that.
But they take time.
But when you set your expectations realistically, I think you uncover more of those opportunities, because you're not overlooking what seems to be a small opportunity that could turn into something great from a referral or anything like that.
Exactly. I mean, it's like the mortgage broker that I connected with that generated not only the initial sale, but also multiple sales thereafter, and will continue to generate sales thereafter. I connected with an individual that introduced me to BNI. So now that's another group that I can belong to, that I can now generate business out of. And I wouldn't have known about it unless I connected and did those 15-minute chats.
Yeah, great. So, I mean, and I appreciate your time here. I know I appreciate everyone watching too, and listening in. We only got about a couple minutes left here, and I want to be respectful of your time. But I want to ask just a couple more questions here, because I think there's a process always, right? And the process isn't always fun, right? You got to go through the hard stuff. You got to go through some of those things. But what have you enjoyed about the process? What have you found to be the most rewarding piece of that, or what have you loved about that process of what you've been going through the last couple of months?
What do you mean by process? Because there's a number of processes that have taken place.
And that's the thing, right? I think that's and that's what I'm kind of getting at. There's the internal process of the first, getting over your own limiting thoughts of, all right, is this program going to help me? Is there is this what it says that, there's that initially. Then there's, all right, I got a mountain here of stuff to do. It seems like, right? We break it up and we try to make it piece by piece, but there's a lot of little steps and things that you have to go through in order to launch your campaign. Then you launch your campaign. And so all the way, I think a lot of us out there, and I was one of them, looking for that magic bullet of, all right, if I do this one thing, my business is going to explode. And what I found is I had to do a lot of little things that added up to big things. And so I think that's the foundation of this program. We set the foundation. We put the little things in place to let you do what you're doing now, which will hopefully continue to grow into great things. And just like, I guess maybe a piece of advice for someone that's looking at that process, looking at that mountain, what did you get out of it? What did you love about it? What did you find from that process, from what you've been going through to where you are now?
It was a bunch of small successes, and being part of, you're not by yourself. There's a team that's in place to help you. Like, I mean, for example, I love what Brianna was able to help me do. She was awesome. And getting my profile up and running. And it was exciting getting it to the point where, I mean, it was going to captivate interest in people's attention to say, hey, we should talk to Brian. He seems like a cool dude, right?
Yeah.
And then getting your campaign actually launched and seeing the live results and having that first meeting, right? all of those things. And then I guess, following that first sale to what turned out to be what I thought was the total wrong way of doing the campaign, but it doesn't really matter. It worked for me and I got the sale, right?
Sure.
So you have to adapt to each situation, and it's not always going to go according to the program, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's a lot of trial and error. You learn what not to do and what to do, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. That's the process, right? It's figuring out your way of doing things. Because we tell a lot, just because you're having success doing a certain thing doesn't mean the next advisor, if they copy exactly what you're doing, is going to have that same success. We're different. We have different markets. We have different processes. We have different sales styles, all that stuff that kind of goes into it. So
exactly. I'm a fairly direct individual, and I don't necessarily need to have 5 meetings in order to get to the point of actually doing a sale.
Yeah.
Right. I weed out people very quickly to determine whether or not there's an opportunity there or not an opportunity.
Yeah.
As they say, so what, and then eventually have that sale.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. So, and we talked about the process. You went through the process so quick. How is the coaching that we give? Has that been helpful? Have you found that to be an assist in what you're doing and as you're going along? Because I mean,
Yeah.
you're a regular.
I regularly attend, and I mean, being that as an advisor, you're often by yourself, right? I mean, there's no one in the virtual world that's going to hang out with you at the office per se.
Yeah.
Right. So being part of a group, just to be able to sound things off, to hear what the struggles of other people, to learn some new pointers, and just to be able to connect with somebody else besides yourself is a true blessing in disguise. I look forward to those meetings every day.
Yeah, we do too. We love it. Brown and I, Jeremiah, I know we the coaching is the most fun we have working with all of you. So we appreciate having to share these successes, right? This is what we do it for. So thank you again for doing this.
You're welcome.
What would you say, maybe, again, there's a lot of advisors out there in your shoes, in the shoes I was in, where, they're struggling to figure out how to make the most out of this new situation. And I think it's a huge opportunity. I think we all agree it's a huge opportunity if you know how to execute and where to go to execute, right? Like, there's so many things out there. How do you focus that? So what would you say to someone that's, never done something like this before, that's out there considering maybe coming into the program, and what you've gotten out of it?
Well, I'll say this, the program works if you follow the steps, if you execute it. If you sit on the sidelines humming and hawing, it's not going to work. Just do it. Just like Nike says, just do it. Right?
Yeah. Great. Well, thank you, Brian. Anything else? Give you the last word here. Anything else you want to share or say? I mean, you're doing awesome things. Keep it up. We're super proud and happy to have you as part of the program.
No, I just have to say the program works, and I've had success doing it even here in Canada. Even though we do things maybe a little bit differently, I mean, you can adapt it to whatever market that you're in. Okay. And I've been encouraged to do things that I never thought that I would be doing. Like, I'm in the process of trying to put together a Zoom webinar. Using some partners such as my mortgage broker, a PNC guy, and doing a webinar that will invite people from all of our markets to have a chat and to learn more information. This is a new way of marketing. And
that, you said the Zoom meeting, and I was just reminded of something I completely forgot to ask you about. So Loom, I want to speak on Loom for a minute. I know we're right at time, but if you give me another minute just to provide some feedback to the group about this as well, because I think this is something you're doing that was unique. So we use Loom a lot at Advisorist, and Brianna and I use it a lot. As a team, we use it, and we started using it with the advisors. And Brianna does this better than anyone. And she'll go in and record on your screen what's what, or any corrections or things, and send that. And our advisors loved it. And so people like yourself, a couple others, liked the tool and started using it. And you've created you have a unique approach to Loom videos. Can you share what you're doing in between those meetings or before some of those meetings with those prospects that you're chatting with?
Yeah. So for example, I mean, in that 15-minute window, I mean, you don't necessarily have the ability to share everything that you need to, or something comes out of that meeting and they say, yeah, I'm interested in learning about a buy-sell agreement. And I say, you know what, I have a 6-minute Loom video that I can share with you after the meeting. I simply send them the link either via email or LinkedIn message, and they have that content that they can watch it. at their time and when it works for them. And then you can have another meeting to say, hey, how was the video? What did you think of it? Right.
Yeah.
I also send a 2-minute video prior to the meeting that tells who is Brian or what is Faith Life all about. So people can watch that and know who he is. And it's a personal contact and that they know something about it. It's not like, well, geez, who's this stranger that I'm talking to?
Right. Right. Yeah. I think you do that. So on, the Meet with Brian, I mean, I know you've shared that in the group and others have picked it up. And I think, the takeaway too, for the group here that's listening is, Loom's free. So you said 6-minute video. If it's under 5 minutes, Loom's free. So, it's a free tool. It's out there, Loom. There's others like it, but it's a great tool, very easy to use. And you've done such a good job with it. And I think those are the things that differentiate too in the current climate, because there's a lot of people trying to do, business virtually, and the ability to give that information. Are you getting good feedback from your prospects on those videos?
Yeah, actually, I sent it to my mortgage broker connection, and they said that they liked it so much that they were going to do one for me that I could share with my clients as well as prospects to say, hey, I have a mortgage broker here. Let's meet them personally. I'll send you a 2-minute video that tells you who they are. It's about building that connection, that relationship, which is so difficult to do in this current climate.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Brian, you're the man. Keep up the good work. Again, we're super appreciative of you being a part of the program, of you executing as you have, and the success that you're having. We'll continue to support you, and we look forward to seeing you on the coaching calls. Anything else we can do for you, let us know. But I'll give you the last word, and then we'll jump off here.
I'm good.
All right. I know you are. You got some business to write. Go write it.
I got to go do some business.
All right. Thanks, Brian.
Have a good day.
You too. Thanks, everyone.
Cheers.